If you receive Social Security or you're getting close to retirement, there is one financial number you should be paying attention to right now. And that number is the 2027 Social Security Cost of Living Adjustment, better known as the COLA. There is already a lot of discussion about how much Social Security benefits could increase in 2027. Some current estimates are pointing toward an increase in the range of roughly 3.2% to 3.6%. That would be higher than the 2.8% COLA that Social Security beneficiaries received for 2026. But there is something extremely important you need to understand before you start planning around that number. The 2027 COLA has not been officially finalized yet. The final adjustment depends on inflation data from the third quarter of 2026. The Social Security Administration is expected to announce the official 2027 COLA in October. So today's video isn't about telling you that you're guaranteed to receive a specific percentage. Instead, we're going to talk about what you can do right now to prepare. Because whether the final COLA ends up being 3.2%, 3.5%, 3.6%, or something different, the way you manage your money can make a much bigger difference than the headline percentage itself. And if you're retired, there are 7 things you should be thinking about before the 2027 increase becomes official. So let's start with the first one. Number 1, don't spend an estimated COLA before it becomes official. This sounds obvious, but it's one of the most important points. Every year, people start seeing predictions about the next Social Security increase. You might see one headline saying benefits could increase by 3.5%. Another report might say 3.6%. Another estimate might be lower. And as new inflation data comes in, those estimates can change. That's completely normal. The official COLA isn't simply chosen by someone at Social Security. There is a specific formula. The adjustment is tied to the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers, commonly called CPIW. The government looks at inflation data from the third quarter and compares it with the appropriate previous period. That's why the final number isn't known months in advance. So if you're currently receiving $2,000 per month in Social Security, don't immediately assume that your 2027 payment will be $2,070 or $2,072 just because a 3.5% estimate is being discussed. Instead, think of the estimate as a planning range. If your current benefit is $2,000 and the final COLA were 3.5%, the simple increase would be about $70 per month. If the final COLA were 3.6%, the increase would be about $72. If it were 3.2%, the increase would be about $64. Those numbers may look small on a monthly basis, but over a full year, they can add up. However, your actual payment can be affected by deductions and your individual circumstances. So the first rule is simple. Don't build your entire 2027 budget around an estimate. Wait for the official number. But use the estimates to start thinking ahead. Number 2, calculate what different COLA scenarios would mean for you. This is where you can make the information much more useful. Instead of simply watching the news and asking, what is the COLA going to be? Take your own Social Security benefit and run a few simple scenarios. Let's say your current monthly Social Security benefit is $1,500. At a 3.2% increase, the simple monthly increase would be approximately $48. At 3.5%, it would be approximately $52.50. At 3.6%, it would be approximately $54. Now let's say your current benefit is $2,000. At 3.2%, you're looking at approximately $64 more per month. At 3.5%, approximately $70. At 3.6%, approximately $72. And if your benefit is $2,500, the numbers become larger. A 3.2% increase would be approximately $80 per month. A 3.5% increase would be approximately $87.50. And a 3.6% increase would be approximately $90. These are simple examples, not guarantees of your actual payment. But they give you an idea of why your personal benefit amount matters more than a headline saying, Social Security COLA could be 3.6%. Your situation is unique, so take your current monthly benefit and multiply it by the estimated percentage. You can create 3 scenarios: a lower scenario, a middle scenario, and a higher scenario. Then ask yourself, what would I do with that additional money? Would I spend it? Would I save it? Would I use it for rising household expenses? Would I put some toward debt? Would I build my emergency savings? Or would I simply keep it available in case prices increase again? Making that decision before the money arrives can help prevent the extra income from disappearing without a plan. Number 3, review your monthly expenses before January 2027. This is something every retiree should consider. A Social Security increase sounds great, but your financial situation isn't determined by income alone. It's determined by income minus expenses. And that's where inflation becomes important. Imagine your Social Security benefit increases by $70 per month. That sounds helpful. But suppose your rent, utilities, groceries, insurance, transportation, and other expenses also increase. Your actual improvement in purchasing power could be much smaller. That's why I recommend creating a simple retirement expense review. Start with housing. How much are you paying each month? Then look at utilities: electricity, water, gas, internet, phone. Then groceries. Then transportation. Then insurance. Then healthcare. Then subscriptions and other recurring expenses. And finally, look at irregular expenses: car repairs, home repairs, property taxes, travel, gifts, and other expenses that don't happen every month but still affect your yearly budget. Once you have everything written down, you'll have a much clearer picture. You might discover that your expenses are lower than you expected, or you might discover that several small expenses are quietly taking hundreds of dollars from your monthly budget. This is why a potential COLA increase can be an opportunity. Instead of simply increasing your spending, you can use the increase to strengthen your overall financial position. Number 4, look carefully at your retirement account withdrawals. This is especially important for people who receive Social Security and also have money in a 401k, IRA, or other retirement account. Let's say you receive $2,000 per month from Social Security. You also withdraw $1,000 per month from your retirement savings. That gives you $3,000 of monthly income before considering taxes and other factors. Now imagine Social Security increases. You may suddenly have more monthly income. But instead of automatically spending that increase, you could potentially reduce the amount you're withdrawing from your retirement account. For example, suppose your Social Security benefit increases by $70 per month. You might decide that instead of increasing your lifestyle spending by $70, you reduce your retirement account withdrawal by part of that amount. That could help preserve your savings. Of course, the right strategy depends on your individual financial situation. Some people may need every dollar of the increase for basic expenses. Others may have enough flexibility to save or invest the additional money. The point isn't that everyone should make the same decision. The point is that you should make a decision intentionally. Your Social Security increase can become part of your retirement income strategy. It doesn't have to automatically become additional spending. Number 5, don't ignore taxes. This is one of the most overlooked parts of retirement planning. Many people focus on their Social Security check. They look at the amount deposited into their bank account. But retirement income can involve multiple sources. You may have Social Security. You may have a pension. You may have withdrawals from a traditional IRA. You may have 401k income. You may have interest. You may have dividends. You may have capital gains. And depending on your circumstances, some of your Social Security benefits may be subject to federal income tax. That's why you shouldn't look at a COLA increase in isolation. A larger Social Security benefit can change your total income picture. It doesn't automatically mean you'll owe more taxes, because everyone's situation is different. But it is something worth reviewing. And remember that tax rules can change. So when you're planning for 2027, Don't simply copy what happened on your tax return several years ago. Look at your current situation. If you're taking large withdrawals from a traditional retirement account, for example, you may want to understand how those withdrawals interact with your other income. This is also why keeping good records throughout the year can make tax planning much easier. Instead of waiting until tax season to figure everything out, you can monitor your income as the year progresses. And if you have a complicated financial situation, consider getting advice from a qualified tax professional. Number 6, pay attention to Medicare and healthcare expenses. This is another major reason why a Social Security COLA shouldn't be viewed as free spending money. Healthcare costs can be a significant part of a retiree's monthly budget, and Medicare-related premiums and other healthcare expenses can affect how much money you actually have available. So when the 2027 Social Security COLA becomes official, don't just ask, "How much bigger is my Social Security check?" Ask, "How much will my total monthly income change after considering my other costs?" That's a much better question. For example, suppose your Social Security benefit increases by $70. If another expense increases by $20, your net improvement is different than if your expenses stay unchanged. That's why retirement planning is really about the whole picture: income, taxes, healthcare, housing, food, transportation, savings, and unexpected expenses. A COLA increase can help, but the goal is to understand how much it actually changes your financial life. And this brings us to number 7. Number 7, decide where the extra money should go before you receive it. This might be the most practical strategy in this entire video. Let's say the final 2027 COLA ends up being around 3.5%. And let's say your current benefit is $2,000 per month. A simple calculation would put the increase at around $70 per month. Now you have a choice. You could simply allow the $70 to disappear into your regular spending. Or you could give that $70 a job. Maybe $20 goes toward your emergency fund. Maybe $20 helps cover higher grocery or utility costs. Maybe $20 goes toward debt. And maybe $10 stays available for something you enjoy. That's just an example. You could divide it completely differently. The important thing is having a plan. If you don't give additional income a purpose, lifestyle inflation can absorb it very quickly. You might spend a little more on groceries, a little more on restaurants, a little more on online shopping, a little more on subscriptions, and suddenly the entire increase is gone. There's nothing wrong with spending your money. That's what money is for. But retirees need to balance today's spending with tomorrow's financial security. So when that larger Social Security payment eventually arrives, make sure it supports the life you actually want. Now let's talk about something else that many people misunderstand about COLA. A higher COLA doesn't mean that Social Security is suddenly becoming more generous. The purpose of COLA is to adjust benefits based on inflation. The idea is to help benefits maintain purchasing power as prices change. For 2026, the official COLA was 2.8%. The Social Security Administration said that the average retirement benefit increased by about $56 per month as a result of the 2026 adjustment. That official increase gives us a useful reference point. But 2027 will be determined using the new inflation data. And that's why you should be careful with headlines. 1 month of inflation doesn't determine the final COLA. A single estimate doesn't determine it either. The official formula does. So if you hear a new prediction next month, don't be surprised if the number moves. That doesn't necessarily mean something is wrong. It simply means the underlying inflation data is changing. Now, let's talk about what could make the 2027 COLA feel bigger or smaller in your personal budget. The first factor is inflation. If prices continue increasing, the COLA can provide additional income. But if the specific costs you face rise faster than the overall inflation measure used for COLA, your personal experience can be different. Think about groceries. Think about housing. Think about utilities. Think about healthcare. Everyone's spending pattern is different. That's why 2 retirees receiving the exact same Social Security increase can have completely different experiences. One person might feel comfortable, another might still feel financially stretched. So don't compare your retirement budget with someone else's. Build your plan around your own numbers. Now let's discuss another important question. What if you're not retired yet? Should you care about the 2027 COLA? Absolutely. If you're still working but planning to claim Social Security soon, understanding COLA is part of understanding the system. But don't make the mistake of thinking that the annual COLA is the most important factor in your claiming decision. Your claiming age can have a major effect on your monthly benefit. For people who are eligible, delaying retirement benefits beyond full retirement age can increase the monthly benefit up to age 70. That doesn't mean delaying is automatically the right choice for everyone. Your health, finances, employment situation, family circumstances, taxes, and personal goals can all matter. But it does mean that you shouldn't make a Social Security decision based only on the next COLA. Think long term. Your retirement strategy could potentially last for decades. So a one-year COLA is only one piece of the puzzle. Another important step is to check your Social Security information directly. If you have a My Social Security account, you can review your benefit information and other details through the official Social Security Administration website. Don't rely entirely on social media videos or random websites to tell you what your personal benefit will be. Use reliable sources. And remember, if someone tells you, everyone is getting exactly $100 more, or your Social Security check is guaranteed to increase by $200, be very careful. There is no single increase that applies equally to everyone. The percentage COLA is applied to individual benefits, so the dollar increase depends on the person's benefit amount. This is why percentages and dollar amounts should not be confused. Let's look at another example. Imagine one retiree receives $1,200 per month. Another receives $2,400. If the same 3.5% COLA were applied, the first person would see a simple increase of about $42 per month. The second would see about $84. Same percentage, different dollar increase. That's why knowing your personal benefit amount is so important. Now let's talk about emergency savings. If your budget allows it, a potential Social Security increase could be a good opportunity to strengthen your cash reserve. You don't necessarily need a huge amount of money sitting in a checking account, but having accessible savings can help when an unexpected expense appears. Maybe your car needs repairs. Maybe an appliance stops working. Maybe you have a home maintenance expense. Maybe another bill comes in that you weren't expecting. Without savings, an unexpected expense can force you to rely on credit cards or withdraw investments at an inconvenient time. So even a modest monthly amount can make a difference over time. If your COLA provides additional cash flow, consider whether some of it could strengthen your emergency savings. Now let's talk about debt. If you have high-interest debt, an additional monthly amount could potentially help you pay it down faster. Again, there is no universal rule. But if you're paying a high interest rate on a credit card, for example, reducing that balance can potentially improve your monthly cash flow. Once the balance is lower, more of your future income can go toward your actual needs instead of interest charges. This is why a Social Security increase can be used strategically. You don't have to choose between saving everything and spending everything. You can create a balance. Maybe some goes toward living expenses, some toward savings, some toward debt, and some toward enjoying retirement. The goal is not to make retirement miserable. The goal is to make your money work intentionally. Now let's return to the big question. How much will Social Security increase in 2027? As of now, there is no official final number. Current estimates have been around the mid-3% range, with recent projections around 3.6% from some analysts. Other estimates have been somewhat lower. The important thing is that these are forecasts. The official figure will come later. The Social Security Administration says the next COLA will be announced in October 2026. So between now and then, the smartest thing you can do is prepare your personal budget. Don't wait for the official announcement to start thinking. By the time October arrives, you should already know your current monthly income. You should know your fixed expenses. You should know your flexible expenses. You should know your debt payments. You should know your retirement withdrawals, and you should have an idea of how much additional money you would actually need. Then, when the official COLA arrives, you can make a simple adjustment instead of starting from zero. Let's say the final COLA is higher than you expected. Great. You can update your plan. If it's lower than expected, you can also adjust. The key is flexibility. Because retirement planning is not about predicting the future perfectly. It's about preparing for different possibilities. And that's a much more realistic approach. Now, here's something else I want you to remember. Don't let a headline about a bigger Social Security check encourage you to increase every expense in your life. That's one of the easiest ways for additional income to disappear. Instead, consider using the increase to improve your financial margin. Financial margin is simply the amount of breathing room you have between your income and your expenses. If you have $100 left over each month, your margin is small. If you have $300 left over, you have more flexibility. If a COLA increase helps increase that margin, that's valuable. You can use that extra room to save, pay down debt, cover rising expenses, or enjoy more of your retirement. And that brings us to the biggest takeaway from today's video. The 2027 Social Security COLA is important, but your financial plan is more important. Don't focus only on the percentage. Focus on what that percentage means for your actual life. Focus on your monthly budget. Focus on your retirement savings. Focus on taxes. Focus on healthcare. Focus on debt. Focus on emergency savings. And most importantly, focus on your long-term financial security. The current 2027 estimates are encouraging for many retirees because they suggest a potentially larger increase than the 2.8% COLA used for 2026. But until the official announcement arrives, treat every prediction as an estimate. Don't make major financial decisions based on a number that hasn't been finalized. Use the coming weeks and months to prepare. Calculate your scenarios. Review your expenses. Check your retirement withdrawals. Look at your taxes. Review your healthcare costs. And decide what you want to do with any additional income. Then, when the official 2027 COLA is announced, you'll be ready. You won't be guessing. You won't be scrambling. You'll already have a plan. And that is one of the biggest advantages you can have in retirement. Not necessarily having the biggest check, but knowing exactly what to do with the money you receive. So, if you're receiving Social Security right now, take a few minutes this week and write down your current monthly benefit. Then write down your monthly expenses. Next, calculate what a 3.2%, 3.5%, and 3.6% increase would look like for your personal benefit. You don't have to spend that extra money. You don't have to save all of it either. Just decide what role you want that additional income to play. Because when January 2027 arrives, you don't want your money to have no plan. You want every additional dollar to have a purpose. And one final reminder, the official 2027 COLA has not been announced yet. Current forecasts are estimates and can change as new inflation data becomes available. The Social Security Administration is expected to announce the official figure in October 2026. So keep watching the numbers, but don't panic over every new prediction. Stay informed. Check official sources, review your personal finances, and make decisions based on your own situation, not somebody else's headline. If you found this video useful, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We will continue covering Social Security, retirement planning, taxes, inflation, Medicare, and important U.S. personal finance updates in simple, easy-to-understand language. And if you're already planning for 2027, let me know in the comments. What would you do with a higher Social Security payment? Would you save it, pay down debt, cover higher expenses, or use it to enjoy retirement a little more? Your answer could help someone else watching this video think differently about their own retirement plan. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.